Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Links are in the description below. Please show some love of the author and me. On to the show. Balancer waved his hand, and a ball of light appeared in his hand. The ball of light quickly changed into a circular light cannon, and fired a light cannon towards Su Yen. Bang! The super spaceship hit Balancer's light cannon and made a loud noise. Balancer's light cannon was smashed into pieces by the super spaceship, but the super spaceship continued to fly towards Balancer's spaceship. Seeing Su Yen flying towards him, Balancer's expression sank, then he gritted his teeth and issued an order to the super warriors in the spaceship. Super fighters, stop that super spaceship for me, don't let him continue to approach the spaceship. Balancer shouted. The super soldiers jumped off the super battleship one by one and rushed towards the super spaceship. They wanted to stop the super spaceship. Seeing the super fighters jumping off the super spaceship, the corner of Su Yan's mouth formed a hint of mockery. Su Yan manipulated the super spaceship and followed the super fighters' super spaceship all the time, and then the super soldiers wanted to dismantle the spaceship of the super spaceship. Su Yan immediately manipulated the super spaceship to hit it. Boom! Su Yan manipulated the super spaceship, slammed into the super fighters crazily, and then used the super spaceship to hit the super fighters' super spaceships. Puff! There were bursts of slight explosions, and the super soldiers in the super spaceship all died one by one. The super spaceship also began to shrink slowly, and was finally taken back into the super spaceship by Su Yan. Boom! The super fighter of the super spaceship directly smashed a part of the super spaceship, and then fell from the super spaceship. Seeing that Su Yan cleaned up the super fighters in the super spaceship, all the super fighters in the spaceship were all shocked and speechless. This super soldier can be said to be the strongest combat power of their super civilization, but they didn't expect the entire army to be wiped out this time. Su Yan, you bastard, if you dare to attack our super civilization, you just wait to bear the wrath of our super civilization. Balancer roared. Su Yan sneered coldly and said, you trash are worthy of talking to me. Your super civilization is nothing more than that. Ah. I'm fighting you. Balancer on the side was irritated by Su Yan. He let out a roar, grabbed the weapon in his hand with both hands, and flew towards Su Yan. Balancer slapped out with one palm and bombarded towards Su Xian. Su Yan also launched a counterattack to Balancer, and also hit Balancer. Balancer and Su Yan punched each other together, there was a violent collision, and there was a huge roar. Su Yan's super spaceship was also shaking violently, and it seemed that it would fall apart at any time. The people on the super spaceship all stood on the ground one after another. Watching their super spacecraft shaking violently in the air, they also showed worried expressions on their faces. But Balancer, who was outside the super spaceship, had a hideous expression on his face. He wanted to use the super warrior inside the super spaceship to destroy the super spaceship and then remove Su Yan. But Balancer's idea is very beautiful, but it is not so easy. Click! The super fighter in the super spaceship is under the attack of Balancer's super light cannon. One by one was shattered by the super light cannon, but the super energy cover of the super spaceship was still intact, and Balancer couldn't hurt the super spaceship at all. Although the super fighters were wiped out, Balancer's super spaceship was severely injured by the super fighters of the super spaceship, and its infrastructure was about to be damaged. Balancer also knows that there are many nuclear warheads in the super warrior's super battleship. If it is not repaired in time, everyone on his super spaceship will die. Balancer jumped up, wanting to lead the super spaceship, but at this time the super spaceship changed, and saw a strip of metal tentacles stretched out, directly entangled the super spaceship, and the super spaceship was instantly entangled. Stuck in place. This is a super spaceship, how could it be possible? Balancer was taken aback, his super spaceship is a super spaceship, how could it suddenly become like this? The super fighters of the super spaceship, the fighting power among the super fighters is extremely high. Even if the nuclear warheads in the super battleship will not harm the super fighters of the super spaceship, this super spaceship can actually trap the super soldiers and make it impossible for them to escape. Whoosh! At this moment, the super energy cover of Balanster's super spaceship burst suddenly, and then the super spaceship also burst into powder, turned into countless parts, and fell from the sky. Seeing that the super energy shield of the Balanster super spaceship was shattered, all the super soldiers present were dumbfounded. They never expected that the super battleship was also destroyed by the super spaceship. How is this possible? Balanster stared blankly at the sky with an expression of disbelief. At this time, he finally understood why Su Yan was so rampant, why Su Yan had such a powerful super warship. It turned out that their super civilized super spaceship was too weak. In Balanster's super spaceship, besides super soldiers, there are also some super spaceships, and there are also super soldiers in other super spaceships. These super fighters are not Su Yan's opponents at all. They have no way to stop Su Yan, and they are also unable to resist the super fighters in the super spaceship, so they are bombarded and killed by super energy. The super warrior in Balanster's super spaceship was killed by Su Yan, and Balanster suddenly felt as if someone had stabbed him hard in the heart. Damn! Balanster cursed angrily, looking at the potholes on the ground blasted out by the super soldier's super energy bombs. His teeth itched with hatred. This is the trace left by the super soldier. That is the symbolic thing of their super civilization. As long as the super fighter dies, the imprint of these super fighters will disappear and cease to exist. Now the super fighter is killed by Su Yan, and the super spaceship becomes fragmented. Super soldiers are the foundation of super civilization, and their super chariots are the foundation of super civilization. The super energy cover of the super spaceship is the defense system of the super civilization. If there is a problem with the super tank, the super civilization will be severely damaged. The super energy cover of the super spacecraft is also the main equipment inside the super chariot. If something goes wrong with the super spaceship, the super chariot will stop working. This super chariot is the core system in the super spaceship. Once there is a problem with the super chariot, the super spaceship will be paralyzed. Damn it, how could you destroy my super spaceship? How dare you, you despicable and shameless guy, actually destroyed my super spaceship, you will pay for it. The super fighters in the super spaceship, seeing something wrong with their super spaceship, they all roared angrily, roaring angrily, trying to tear Balanster to pieces. Listening to the super soldier's roar, Balanster knew he had to get out of the supership now. If you continue to stay in the super spaceship, the Super 013 energy shield of the super spaceship will be completely destroyed. Balanster's super spaceship is maintained by the energy provided by the super civilization. If the energy in the super spacecraft is exhausted, the super civilization will also collapse. The super chariot of the super fighter will also be destroyed by the super fighter in the super spaceship because of exhaustion of energy. So Balanster must now leave the supership immediately. However, the super soldier did not let him leave the super spaceship. They surrounded Balanster's super spaceship, and all the super fighters in the super fighters rushed towards Balanster, and started a siege against Balanster. Balanster was besieged by super soldiers, and he was forced to avoid the attack of super soldiers, but he was soon surrounded by super soldiers, and he had no way to escape. While the super soldiers were attacking frantically, they also continuously fired energy balls to attack Balanster. A super soldier will not be defeated. A super soldier is like invincible, harder than steel, can resist any attack. Even the super soldier's attack could not penetrate the super soldier suit that Barons was wearing. Balanster was beaten back and forth by the super soldiers. In the end, Balanster could only choose to escape, but Balanster's super spaceship. Before he left the super spaceship, he had already closed the energy cover of the super spaceship, and the energy cover inside the super spaceship had no effect. After the energy shield of the super spaceship was closed, Balanster's speed slowed down. He was chased and beaten by the super soldiers, and the energy shield in the super spaceship was broken by the super soldiers. The super soldiers in the super spaceship were also severely injured. Balanster was also seriously injured. Balanster looked at the super soldiers who were getting closer and closer, feeling very annoyed in his heart. There are too many super fighters, and he has no way to clean them up. Su Yan, I'm going to kill you. Balancer roared angrily. He thought of his defeat this time and the destruction of his super tank, and he hated Su Yan even more. Boom. There was a loud noise in the super spaceship. The super energy cover inside the super spaceship was also shattered, and the super spaceship was also destroyed. The super fighters in the super spaceship also died in it, not one left. Seeing this, Balancer immediately flew out of the super spaceship. His current condition is very bad, and he must leave the super battleship immediately. It's just that he just flew out of the super spaceship, a black shadow flashed past, and then he involuntarily flew back into the super spaceship. Boom. The super soldiers in the super battleship also flew upside down and fell on the deck of the super spaceship. The super soldiers were lying on the ground one by one, in great pain. Su Yan watched Balancer come out of the super spaceship, and he also knew Balancer's situation, and Balancer's current situation must be very bad. If Su Yan wants to defeat Balancer, it will only take a minute or two, and the super spaceship is also seriously damaged now, and it is estimated that it will take at least 3 or 4 years to repair it. Within 3 years, he would not be able to defeat Balancer, and Su Shi would not do such a risky thing. Humph, Balancer, you are to blame for all this. Su Yan said with a sneer. He also knew that Balancer would definitely not be able to leave the super battleship. He could only wait for the super battleship to be destroyed. After the super battleship was destroyed, they would be buried with all the super fighters in the super spaceship. This is something to be very happy about. A smile appeared on Su Yan's face. All of this was done by Su Yan. Su Yan knew that by doing so, Balancer could be put in a hurry. This Balancer is very greedy. These super soldiers will definitely divide up all the wealth in the super battleship. Balancer will never let them go. Once Balancer is provoked, he will definitely ignore it and start the war mode directly, and die with the super soldiers in the super spaceship. These super fighters inside the super spaceship are also the target of Su Yan. Su Yan absolutely does not allow the super fighters in the super spaceship to survive, so Su Yan can only invite Balancer into the desperate situation. Su Yan also didn't expect that Balancer's super fighters could break through the shield of the super spaceship, which surprised Su Yan very much. The super fighters in the super spaceship are all very powerful, but Balancer can break through the energy shield of the super spaceship. It can be seen how powerful Balancer's super fighters are. The strength of these super fighters is probably far beyond Su Yan's imagination. Under such circumstances, the super fighters in the super spaceship must not allow the super battleship to be destroyed. The super fighters inside the super spaceship rushed to the 3.7 sides of the super spaceship one by one, blocking the front of the super spaceship. When Balancer saw this, his eyes flashed with strong hatred. All the super fighters stood in front of the super spaceship, preventing Balancer from escaping from this place. The actions of the super fighters immediately made Balancer very annoyed. "Damn it, you dare to stop me," Balancer said coldly. "If you want to leave the super spaceship, you must kill us super fighters first," one of the super soldiers said coldly. The other super fighters all stared at Balancer coldly. They are all Balancer's enemies, and now they all know that Su Yan is Balancer's enemy, and they all want to kill Balancer's super fighters to avenge their brothers. Balancer snorted coldly, and he said, "I will kill you super soldiers, and I will send you all to heaven." The super fighters snorted coldly, a faint smile appeared on the corners of their mouths, and the super fighters were all ready. Balancer's super fighters all stood on the deck of the super spaceship and surrounded the super spaceship. The super fighters in the super spaceship are also ready, as long as Balancer has any unruly actions. Those super fighters in the super spaceship will fight back, and super fighters have self-esteem. They would rather die in battle than let the super spaceship be taken away by others, so they will definitely not let the super spaceship fall into the hands of the enemy. Seeing the performance of these super fighters in the super spaceship, Su Yan nodded in satisfaction. Although the super spaceship was destroyed by Balancer, the super fighters in the super spaceship still have their own dignity, and they will not let Balancer's super fighters snatch the super spaceship. At this moment, both the super soldiers and Balancer have entered a moment of tension, and there may be a big battle at any time. The super fighters outside the super spaceship, and the super fighters under Balancer, neither side did anything, but waited. Balancer wants to kill these super soldiers, and then kill Yen. Balancer is an extremely cunning person, so he will not act rashly. Balancer also saw that these super fighters in the super spaceship did not intend to take the initiative to attack, so he was also waiting. Su Yen also saw that Balancer was waiting for the opportunity, and a smile was drawn on the corner of his mouth. He believed that Balancer had waited for a long time and finally got this opportunity. Su Yen glanced at the super soldier controlled by Balancer. All the super soldiers were extremely nervous. They were also very worried that the energy shield of the super spaceship would break when Balancer shot, and they would all die by then. They all hope to keep the safety of the super spaceship, and they don't want to die in the super spaceship. After all, they are all human beings, and they don't want to die like this. It would be too unfair to them. Outside the super spaceship, all the super fighters turned their eyes to Su Yen. Their eyes were full of anger. Su Yan's figure slowly floated in the void. He glanced lightly at the super soldier controlled by Balancer, and then glanced at the super fighters outside the super spaceship. On Leinster. Su Yen said coldly, "Your super spaceship was destroyed by me, but I was not killed by you. You should feel lucky. Otherwise, your super spaceship would have been destroyed by me long ago. I don't like wasting time." When Balancer heard this, his face suddenly became very ugly. "Damn it, you dare to destroy the energy shield of the super spaceship, I will definitely tear you to pieces." Balancer gritted his teeth and said viciously. "Will I give you this chance?" Su Yen glanced at Balancer contemptuously, and his tone was full of disdain and sarcasm. "If you want to leave now, I won't stop you. If you really want to leave, just go quickly and don't delay me in time, I still have things to do. Do you really think you are a thing? As long as you don't hide in the super spaceship, I can kill you," Balancer said with a cold snort. When Su Yen heard Balancer's words, a smile rose from the corner of his mouth. "You are indeed very arrogant." Su Yen laughed coldly, and he continued, "It's just that my super spaceship is not an ordinary super spaceship. How many times can your super spaceship withstand the attacks of my super spaceship? I think you should know this." Su Yen said mockingly Balancer. Balancer's face darkened, and Balancer was very angry, but he knew that the super soldiers in his super spaceship were indeed impossible to block the attack of the super battleship. "I advise you to give up resistance. I will leave you a way out," Balancer said viciously. Su Yen directly controlled the energy shells in the super spaceship and bombarded Balanced. Balancer was not to be outdone. The energy shells of the super spaceship bombarded Balancer, and the two collided together. The two kinds of energy shells exploded at the same time, and the terrifying energy fluctuations spread out. The energy cover of the super spaceship also trembled violently, and the energy light on the energy cover became much dimmer. The super fighters on the super spaceship opened their eyes wide, and their eyes were fixed on the super fighters in front of them. They were all looking forward to seeing Balancer being swallowed by the energy beam of the super spaceship. But they didn't wait for the energy cannon's attack. What's going on? Where's the super ship's energy shield? How is Balancer not hurt? Why is there no movement in my super spaceship? What about the energy shield of the super spaceship? Why does the energy shield inside the super spaceship disappear? Is the defense system inside the super spaceship broken? Inside the super spaceship, their heart rate suddenly accelerated a lot, and expressions of horror appeared on their faces. At this time, all the super fighters in the super spaceship saw that Su Yen was looking at Balancer with playful eyes. Many super fighters in the super spaceship looked at Balancer, their eyes full of doubts. "You actually destroyed the defense system of the super ship." Balancer was shocked to see that Su Yen was able to destroy the defense system of the super ship. These super fighters are not invincible, and the super spaceship is his most important combat tool. If the super spaceship is attacked, he will definitely suffer. Therefore, the number of super fighters in his super spaceship is very small, and he regards every super fighter as a treasure, and Su Yan's actions obviously violated his bottom line, which also made him very angry. I just let those high-level super fighters withdraw from the energy shield of the super spaceship, and I only want them to guard the super spaceship outside. Su Yan said. Humph, do you think I'll believe your nonsense? Balancer snorted coldly, you don't need to talk nonsense, your super spaceship has no defensibility anymore, you can't stop the attack of my super spaceship at all. Balancer's supership fired a shell. The energy contained in this cannonball is very powerful, and the speed is also very fast, and it came to the front of the super spaceship in an instant. The super soldiers in the super spaceship retreated one after another, they didn't want to die in Balancer's super battleship. At this time, some damage appeared on the defensive cover of their super spaceship. I see how you can resist my super soldier. Balancer sneered. Many super fighters in the super spaceship are regretting that they should not have obeyed Balancer's order, and if they did not obey Balancer's order, they would not have encountered such troubles. No one will be sacrificed. Boom. After a loud noise, the defensive cover on the super spaceship was penetrated, but the power of the shells remained undiminished, and they still bombarded Su Yan. Only a thin layer of the energy shield inside Balancer's super spaceship remained. This cannonball landed on the super spaceship, and the entire body of the super spaceship was instantly pierced, and the power of the cannonball also blasted the entire super spaceship into powder, and then exploded in the air, filling the sky with dust from the explosion. The super fighters in the super spaceship saw this scene, all of them showed terrified expressions on their faces, and their hearts were full of despair and fear. They were all ready to withstand the energy impact of the cannonball, but what they didn't expect was that the cannonball would fall on them. This cannonball directly killed all the super fighters in the super spaceship. Inside the super spaceship, all the super fighters were smashed to pieces by shells, leaving no bones left. Balancer looked at the corpses of his super soldiers, his eyes flickering coldly. He clenched his palms tightly, and then a hideous look appeared on his face. How dare you destroy my super spaceship, you are courting death. As Balancer spoke, he fired a cannonball at Su Yan. As for the super soldiers in Balancer's super spaceship, their hearts were full of panic, and they kept retreating. All the super soldiers in Balancer's super spaceship are retreating. These super fighters have no way to escape, because the energy shield inside Balancer's super spaceship has been destroyed. This restricts their actions, and if they want to escape, there is no way to leave the super spaceship. Boom. This time, the cannonball landed on the shell of the super spaceship, causing a huge explosion, and the shell of the super spaceship was instantly smashed to pieces. The rupture of the shell of the super spaceship made the super soldiers in Balancer's super spaceship panic. They want to escape, but they have no way to escape. They can only run away non-stop, but their speed is too slow. They can only keep retreating, constantly retreating, hoping to escape the range of artillery fire. The super fighters in Balancer's super spaceship, they all have many super fighters surviving inside. There are more of them than those super fighters that Su Yan has, and the number of super fighters that Su Yan needs is far from enough. Su Yan must try his best to get more super fighters into the super spaceship in a short period of time. Boom. The energy cover of the super spaceship collapsed instantly under the attack of the cannonball, and the energy of the cannonball also directly fell on the super soldiers in the super spaceship. As a result, the super soldiers in the super spaceship were all hit by energy cannonballs, and their bodies were shattered under the attack of energy cannonballs. Pooh! A series of screams sounded, and when these super soldiers were hit by energy shells, they would immediately turn into powder. The super soldiers in Balancer's super spaceship fell to the ground one by one. Seeing this scene, Su Yan also showed a look of astonishment on his face. He didn't expect that the super fighters in Balancer's super spaceship were so powerful that they could even destroy the super spaceship defense shield he released. This really surprised Su Yan. Haha, now I see how much resistance you have. Balancer laughed arrogantly. Balancer, the grievances between us should not involve these innocent super soldiers. If you want revenge, you can come to me. Su Yan said. Do you think I will believe your words? I want to destroy the super spaceship first, and then kill you. Aren't you very powerful? I want to see how long you can hide, said Balancer. Su Yan began to control the Hyperion and continued to fly forward. At this time, the super spaceship fired another cannonball, and the cannonball smashed directly towards the Hyperion. Su Yan ignored the shell attack and continued to fly forward. Call out. The shells landed on the Hyperion controlled by Su Yan, but the shells from the super spaceship didn't hurt the super spaceship controlled by Su Yan at all. On the contrary, the super fighters in the super spaceship were all blown apart. One by one died. Balancer watched this scene with great heartache. Damn it! Damn it! I won't let you get away with it! Balancer yelled. Su Yan steered the Hyperion to continue flying, and he didn't care about the shells fired by Balancer, because Su Yan knew that even if he tried to stop it, Balancer would not stop. Balancer will definitely continue to fire shells at the Hyperion while the Hyperion has not left the range of the super spaceship. Boom! The shell of the super spaceship, Molly's, was broken again, and the super soldiers in Su Yan's super spaceship were all fleeing outwards. Su Yan ignored them and continued to steer the Hyperion forward. Su Yan's control surprised the super fighters in the super spaceship. They wanted to attack Su Yan, but the Hyperion controlled by Su Yan was very fast, and the super fighters couldn't catch up with Su Yan's control speed at all. Boom! A series of violent noises came, and the super soldiers in the super spaceship were hit by shells one after another, and died one by one. The Hyperion controlled by Su Yan is getting closer and closer to Balancer's super spaceship, and it is also getting closer to Balancer's super spaceship. Balancer saw that Su Yan was manipulating the Hyperion and was approaching him, and his face suddenly turned ugly. There are not many super fighters in the super spacecraft now. All of them were hit by shells and died, and their death caused all their weapons and equipment to be left in the super spaceship. All were killed one by one, and their health value continued to decrease. The super soldiers were all killed, and Balancer felt extremely angry. His eyes were red. He was also very angry in his heart, but he was helpless. Although there are many super fighters, the super fighters in the super spaceship controlled by Su Yan are much stronger than the super fighters in Balancer's super spaceship. Balancer controls the super fighters in the super spaceship. Although their attack power is good, it is impossible for them to hurt Su Yan. Balancer watched Su Yan approaching his super spaceship quickly. His face was very ugly. Su Yan, you forced me to do all of this. Since you want to kill me, then I will kill you, and let the whole universe be buried with me. After Balancer finished speaking, a sinister smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Hearing what Balancer said, Su Yan was slightly taken aback. Su Yan heard the meaning of Balancer's words. Su Yan wanted to kill Balancer, but Balancer wanted to kill Su Yan, and Su Yan wanted to kill Baron Aster. There is only one way, and that is to destroy his super spaceship. In this way, his super spaceship will be destroyed. Everyone in the super spaceship, they all died, only Su Yan himself remained. Call out. Su Yan steered the Hyperion to move on. Balancer's supership flew quickly under Su Yan's supership. Boom! Boom! Balancer continuously fired shells to attack Su Yan's Hyperion, and the hull of the Hyperion continued to rupture. All the super fighters in the super spaceship controlled by Su Yan died, and only the super spaceship they controlled could survive. The super fighters in Balancer's super spaceship died, and the super spaceship controlled by Su Yan continued to approach Balancer's super spaceship, and the super spaceship controlled by Balancer quickly escaped. The Hyperion controlled by Su Yan kept chasing Balancer's super spaceship. The super spaceship controlled by Balancer is escaping quickly, but the speed of the Hyperion is also very fast. The super spaceship controlled by Leinster has no way to reach the Hyperion area at all. Boom! The life value of the super fighters in the super spaceship, Daj, is rapidly decreasing. Su Yan's eyes flashed coldly. He controlled the Hyperion, and continued to chase Balancer's super spaceship. Boom! With a violent explosion, Balancer's super spaceship suddenly suffered a terrifying energy attack. which caused the super spaceship to shake rapidly. It may be destroyed at any time. The speed of the Hyperion controlled by Su Yan became faster, and the Hyperion controlled by him continued to chase Balanster's super spaceship. Pooh! The super spaceship controlled by Balanster could hardly bear it. Balanster's face changed, and he immediately controlled the super spaceship to escape. Humph! Su Yan snorted coldly, and he steered the Hyperion to move forward, constantly chasing Balanster's super spaceship. Boom! The super spaceship controlled by Balanster was not destroyed because of this, and the super fighters in the super spaceship still had about 3/4 of their HP. Although the super fighters in the super spaceship controlled by Balanster were not killed by Su Yan, they were almost unable to hold on. How? How did my super spaceship suddenly look like this? Balanster was shocked to see his super ship reduced to a pile of scrap metal. He couldn't believe that Su Yan possessed such powerful power that he could destroy the super spaceship he controlled. But the facts were before his eyes. Su Yan really did it, and the super spaceship was indeed turned into a piece of scrap iron. This also made Balanster understand one thing: Su Yan's strength is really too strong. Compared with Su Yan's current strength, it is not worth mentioning at all. Ha ha! Suddenly, Su Yan let out a wild laugh, and then the Hyperion he controlled soared into the sky. The Hyperion controlled by Su Yan lifted off rapidly. Su Yan flew into the depths of the interstellar at an extremely fast speed, and disappeared from Balanster's vision in the blink of an eye. Damn! Balanster looked at Su Yan, who was going away, feeling annoyed in his heart. He knew that with his current strength, he couldn't beat Su Yan at all. Su Yan's speed was so fast that Balanster couldn't catch up with Su Yan at all. Damn! Balanster controls the super spaceship and continues to move forward. He doesn't want to leave, he wants to continue to chase Su Yan. The super fighters are all dead now, even the super fighters who control the super spaceship. They can't control the super spaceship to move forward, so Balanster can't continue to chase Su Yan at all. Su Yan controlled the super spaceship to continuously lift into the sky, and soon flew thousands of square kilometers away. Call out! He controlled the Hyperion and continued to fly, and Balanster couldn't catch up with him at all. However, Balanster did not give up, and he continued to fly the super spaceship. Buzz! The Hyperion controlled by Su Yan continued to hit a certain city ahead. The super spaceship controlled by Balanster landed quickly and fell from a high altitude. Boom! The super spaceship hit the ground heavily, and suddenly a huge deep pit appeared on the ground. What? Inside Balanster's super spaceship, a group of super soldiers screamed. Bang bang! Inside Balanster's super spaceship, his super soldiers were smashed to pieces. They kept hitting the super spaceship, but to no avail. Their super spaceship still could not be damaged. All the super fighters in the super spaceship still have 3/4 of their health. Balanster controls the super spaceship, and he controls the super spaceship to move forward. Now there is no chance of winning at all. If he continues to chase Su Yan, he may eventually die in Su Yan's hands. Whoosh! The super spaceship controlled by Su Yan continued to fly, and the Hyperion controlled by him also kept falling towards the ground. Balanster's super spaceship also kept hitting the ground, and several deep pits appeared on the ground after a while. There are fewer and fewer super fighters in the super spacecraft controlled by Balanster, and he has no chance of winning. Call! Balanster exhaled a foul breath, and he controlled the super spaceship to continue flying. If you're enjoying my content, please consider donating a coffee. Or checking out my shirts on TeePublic. The Hyperion operated by Su Yan flew on the Earth for a long time, and then stopped, and Su Yan controlled the super spaceship to land on the ground. Su Yan had been flying the Hyperion for so long, he was a bit overwhelmed, so he stopped, ready to take a rest and recover his energy by the way. Call out! A light curtain suddenly appeared in front of Su Yan's Hyperion, and the light curtain blocked Su Yan's Hyperion. Okay? The super spaceship controlled by Su Yan froze for a moment, but he reacted immediately. This light curtain should have been arranged by Balanster. Whoosh! Su Yan controls the super spaceship, hitting the light curtain constantly. But this light curtain was so hard that Su Yan's spaceship couldn't penetrate it at all. This light curtain. Even the light curtain can't be destroyed, it can only make the light curtain tremble continuously and make light noises. The Hyperion continued to rush towards the light curtain, and the super spaceship controlled by Balancer followed closely behind. It hit hard on the light curtain, and the light of the light curtain flashed, ejecting Su Yan's spaceship again. Boom! The Hyperion operated by Su Yan is flying very fast. The speed of the super spaceship controlled by Balancer is also very fast, and the speed of the two is not much different. The super spaceship controlled by Su Yan was unable to break through the defense of the super spaceship controlled by Balancer, which made Su Yan feel very depressed. The Hyperion's defense is very strong, so the super spaceship controlled by Balancer can't penetrate the Hyperion's defense at all. Whoosh! Su Yan's Hyperion continued to slam into the super spaceship controlled by Balancer, and his purpose was to smash Balancer's super spaceship. Boom! It was another fierce impact. Cracks finally appeared in the defense of the super spaceship controlled by Balancer, and then the light curtain collapsed instantly. The Hyperion continued to attack the super spaceship controlled by Balancer. On the Hyperion, rockets flew out continuously, attacking Balancer's super spaceship. No matter where Balancer hides, it won't help. His super spaceship has no ability to dodge at all, so he can only keep dodging the attack of the Hyperion controlled by Su Yan. Bang bang! The Hyperion controlled by Su Yan, one by one rockets ruthlessly bombarded the super spaceship controlled by Balancer. After a while, the defense of the super spaceship controlled by Balancer completely collapsed, and all the super fighters in his super spaceship were stunned. Boom! Su Yan controlled the Hyperion and flew towards Balancer. The Hyperion slammed into the super spaceship controlled by Balancer. Thump thump thump. The Hyperion continued to hit the super spaceship, and the shell of the super spaceship was also constantly shattering. The speed of the Hyperion is very fast, and the places where it attacks are very tricky. Click! As the Hyperion collided, many dense holes appeared on the side of his spaceship. There are so many holes, like spider webs, densely packed all over the entire spaceship. Su Yan controls the Hyperion to collide with the supership. The super spacecraft was attacked by the spaceship of Hyperion, and it swayed from side to side and rolled continuously. The Hyperion's attack power is really too strong. The shell of the super spaceship can't resist the Hyperion's attack at all. The shell of the super spaceship controlled by Balancer soon became dilapidated. There are also large and small holes, and these holes are constantly emitting flames. Pooh! The Hyperion has been crazily crashing into the supership controlled by Balancer. The super spaceship controlled by Balancer is very stubborn. Even if the impact force of the Hyperion is amazing, it is difficult to destroy the outer shell of the super spaceship. Finally, the super spaceship controlled by Balancer was hit by Su Yan, and it was completely broken. The Hyperion was hit so hard that its tail was broken, the tailbone of the tail was also broken, and the air inside the tail was blown away. The super spaceship controlled by Balancer was completely useless. Boom! Under the impact of the Hyperion, the super spaceship controlled by Balancer completely exploded its tail. The internal armor of the super spacecraft is made of titanium alloy, and a highly concentrated metal is also added inside. These metals can resist the explosion of ultrasonic waves and nuclear weapons, but under the impact of Su Yan's Hyperion, these metals were completely shattered. After the explosion, the Hyperion controlled by Su Yan continued to hit the super spaceship controlled by Balancer. The super spaceship has been seriously damaged, its shell has already been shattered, and it cannot withstand Su Yan's impact at all. Boom! The Hyperion controlled by Su Yan continued to crash into Balancer's supership. In an instant, the super spaceship controlled by Balancer was smashed into two halves by the Hyperion, and the super fighters inside were also smashed to pieces. They were all dead. 0. The super spaceship controlled by Balancer was completely shattered by the Hyperion controlled by Su Yan. Su Yan drove the Hyperion to rush out from the center of the Balancer spaceship, and then drew an arc in the sky, quickly away from the Balancer spaceship. The Hyperion controlled by Su Yan drew an arc in the sky, and then flew towards the distance at extreme speed. Behind the Hyperion controlled by Su Yan, the Balancer super spaceship is slowly falling to the ground. Boom! The super spaceship controlled by Balancer fell, causing a huge commotion immediately, and the entire atmosphere was shaken violently. When the super spaceship controlled by Balancer fell, the super fighters in his spaceship woke up one after another. But at this time it was too late, the falling speed of the super spacecraft was too fast, and there was no way to stop the falling speed. Rumble! There was a loud noise, and then the super spaceship was seen crashing to the ground. The ground on the ground also trembled slightly, and a huge deep pit also emerged. Boom! After the super spaceship landed on the ground, there was another violent explosion, and a huge mushroom cloud rose up, covering the surrounding area of tens of thousands of meters. The super soldier became very weak and his strength was greatly reduced. When Balancer thought of this, his heart ached. "Damn it, you bastard, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you." Balancer growled at Su Yan. Su Yan smiled coldly, and said, "Balancer, don't shout too much. Now you don't have the ability to kill me at all, so just let me kill you obediently." As Su Yan said, he activated the super spaceship inside the super spaceship and smashed Balancer's super battleship. Balancer's super battleship was smashed by the super spaceship, and all the super soldiers inside died, and he was also enveloped by the super energy of the super spaceship. Su Yan controlled the super spaceship, flew directly to the side of Balanced's super spaceship, and then used the super energy shield to bind Balanced 367. Su Yan stopped the attack. "Su Yan, just wait for me." Gritting his teeth, Balancer glared at Su Yan, and then prepared to escape in the super spaceship. There are many super fighters and super spaceships on Balancer's super spaceship, and there are various weapons in these super fighters and super spaceships. If Su Yan continues to attack the super spaceship, then Su Yan will definitely pay a heavy price. Su Yan's current strength has reached the level of SSS level. This kind of strength is enough to deal with Balancer. Su Yan also has some super energy cannons. These super energy cannons are much more powerful super energy cannons than the super energy cannons on SSS class warships. They are extremely powerful and can easily kill ordinary SS class warships in seconds. Balancer is now at the end of his strength. Even if he has an energy shield to protect his body, he may not be able to withstand the attacks of these super energy cannons. Balancer must escape now, and he must rush back to the family as soon as possible, so that his father can send more super soldiers to deal with Wu Yan. He must behead Su Yan, must crush Su Yan to ashes. Seeing that Balancer was about to leave, Su Yan immediately steered the super spaceship and followed Balancer's ass. Seeing Su Yan's super spaceship chasing up, Balancer's face became more and more ugly. He knew that there were many super fighters in Su Yan's super spaceship. If the speed of the super spaceship is fast, then Su Yan's super spaceship can definitely catch up with him, and then Su Yan will attack him and kill him. Thinking of this, Balancer hurriedly controlled the super spaceship to accelerate, and galloped in the direction of the Balancer family. Su Yan's super spaceship followed closely behind. Su Yan saw that Balancer was accelerating, so he also accelerated. The speed of the super spaceship has increased many times in an instant, and one after another aircraft can be seen galloping ahead along the way. Su Yan controls the super spaceship, constantly pursues and bombards Balancer's super battleship. There are more than 200 super energy cannons in Su Yan's super spaceship. These energy cannons were purchased by Su Yan with a lot of money, which cost Su Yan more than 500 billion points in total. This is just the energy spar that Su Yan bought. The energy stone of the super energy cannon does not know how many energy spars are needed to exchange it. If Balancer can be completely killed, Su Yan will not have to worry about points. Boom! The super spaceship hit Balancer's super battleship again, and the super energy cannon inside the super spaceship completely destroyed Balancer's super battleship. Balancer's super battleship was destroyed by the super spaceship, and Suji's super spaceship accelerated to catch up again. Although Balanster's super spaceship was destroyed by Su Yan's super spaceship, he did not die, but was disfigured. He has now been crippled by Su Yan. Su Yan controlled the super spaceship, wandered around Balanster, and then continued to bombard Balanster. Balanster was tortured almost insane by Su Yan, but unfortunately, Su Yan was still attacking him, and Su Yan's super spaceship, energy cannon, would bombard him every once in a while. Su Yan, don't force me, or I will die with you. Balanster watched the super energy shield around him being blasted by the super energy cannon. He was very anxious, he was really very angry, but he couldn't do anything to vent his anger on Su Xian. He really wanted to die with Su Yan, but he couldn't do it, and he didn't dare to do it. Haha, Balanster, I have already experienced your threats. What qualifications do you think you have to be arrogant in front of me? Do you think I will care about your threats? Your threats. It won't help at all, so you better be honest now. Su Yan taunted Balanster, then controlled the super spaceship and continued to bombard Balanster. Balanster's super battleship was destroyed by Su Yan. Su Yan did not give up chasing and killing Balanster, and Balanster launched a bombardment. He has been bombarding Balanster, killing Balanster constantly, making Balanster's super battleship roll in the air, be bombarded continuously, and then dissipate into flames all over the sky. Balanster kept rolling in the air, and his body was bombarded badly, but fortunately, Balanster's body had a layer of super defensive light film. His body hasn't suffered too much damage yet. Balanster continued to attack Su Yan, and Su Yan's super spaceship dodged left and right in the air to avoid Balanster's attack. Su Yan didn't dare to continue to attack Balanster. If Balanster really wanted to explode, then his super spaceship couldn't stop it, and he couldn't dodge it either. So Su Yan has been avoiding Balanster's attack. Su Yan, you bastard, I must kill you. Balanster roared while attacking Su Yan. Humph, do you think you can still survive now? Su Yan snorted coldly, I have decriminalized you, you have become a useless person now, what else can you use to take revenge on me? You. Su Yan, you are simply not human. Inside Balanster's super battleship, there was the sound of Balanster's hysterical roar, although Su Yan's super spaceship was very powerful. But Balanster is not a vegetarian. The super battleship has a lot of super energy cannons, and the number of super energy cannons is also very large, which can make the attack power of the super spaceship more powerful. Balanster's super spaceship can release powerful attacks from the super energy cannon, and it can also absorb energy from the super energy cannon. Balanster can obtain a steady stream of energy from the super energy cannon to restore the attack of the super spaceship. There are a lot of super energy cannons in Balanster's super spaceship, which can supply the consumption of the super spaceship. As long as Balanster doesn't stop attacking the super spaceship, then the super spaceship can always fire super energy cannons and use super energy cannons to attack the enemy. The super energy cannon is a consumable. Once the super energy cannon is consumed, it is useless. The energy storage capacity of the super energy cannon is limited, and the super energy cannon can only fire 36 super energy cannons. The super energy cannon in Balanster's super battleship can store 360 pieces. Once the super energy cannon is damaged, the super energy cannon can no longer fire the super energy cannon. In this way, the super spacecraft is equal to losing its combat effectiveness. If Balanster wants to deal with Su Yan, he can only rely on the super energy cannon in his hand. Balanster has a limited number of super energy cannons, and his super energy cannon, 23, only has 360 pieces, while Su Yan has more than 100 super spaceships. There are quite a few super energy cannons in the super spacecraft, so it is still difficult for his super energy cannons to deal with Su Yan. Balanster, don't waste your time now, your super energy cannon is absolutely impossible to defeat my super spaceship, unless you are willing to use the super energy cannon to consume all the energy cannons in the super spaceship, and then you drive a super energy cannon to trouble me. If you really want to do this, I can't stop it, but you definitely won't do it, so you'd better not do it. If you really dare to do it to me, attack the super spaceship, I will let you taste the terrorist attack of the super spaceship. Well, do you think I'm afraid of you? said Balancer. Really? Yes, I am not afraid of you, because you are dreaming. Balancer continued to growl. He did not continue to attack Suyan's super spaceship. His super energy cannon has been exhausted, he must save a little energy, waiting for the super energy cannon to be replenished again. Su's super spaceship continued to shuttle continuously in the air, constantly avoiding the attacks of Balancer's super energy cannon, and then launched fierce attacks on Balancer time and time again. Balancer, don't you believe that I can kill you? But I want to tell you that you are really wrong. You still have the strength to challenge me now, I really admire you. A sneer appeared on Balancer's face. He knew that Suyan was bluffing. In fact, he was not sure that he could kill him. What he said just now was just a scare. That's all. Do you really think you've won? Suyan suddenly sneered, and then said to Balancer, Balancer, now your super energy cannon has insufficient energy, and the super spaceship can withstand the attack of your super energy cannon. Do you think you can still kill me? After Suyan finished speaking, he lowered his super spaceship so that Balancer's super energy cannon could not hit him at all, so now he is not afraid of Balancer's super energy cannon. When Balancer heard Suyan's words, his eyes widened immediately, and he looked at Suyan in surprise. Because there is a super soldier in the super spaceship, he also saw the super soldier and the super spaceship attacking the super spaceship just now. The super spaceship did not suffer any damage, but Balancer on the super spaceship was severely damaged. How could he not be shocked? Do you think I would be so stupid? Super fighters don't need energy, they only need energy stones, so they won't be consumed by super energy cannons, so you don't have to worry about it, Balancer the super soldier problem. Seeing Balancer's astonished look, Suyan said with a sneer. Humph, if that's the case, then you can die for me. Balancer snorted coldly, then he manipulated the super energy cannon and continued to attack Suyan's super spaceship. Suyan sneered, and then manipulated his super spaceship to quickly avoid the attack of Balancer's super energy cannon. Balancer, I can easily evade your attack, so you should save it. If you want to use a super energy cannon to deal with me, just do it. Suyan said with a smile. Hearing Suyan's words, Balancer almost vomited blood with anger. You. Balancer looked at Suyan angrily, he just felt that his lungs were about to explode. He just wants to catch Suyan now and torture him severely. He wished he could tear Suyan into pieces, but unfortunately he couldn't do anything to Suyan now. The attack of Suyan's super spaceship is like a giant dragon, constantly wandering in the universe. Under Suyan's control, the super spaceship can avoid the attack of Balancer's super energy cannon every time. Haha, Balancer, just stay in the super spaceship obediently. After you run out of energy, your super energy cannon will have no effect on me at all. Damn it, shut up, I will let you 823 see my super energy cannon now. Balancer roared angrily, he can't take care of that much now. He no longer has the energy supply of the super energy cannon, he can only do his best. Okay. I want to see how powerful your super energy cannon is. Suyan said with a smile. Suddenly, a huge flame burst out from the tail of the super spaceship. This flame rushed into the air in an instant, and then exploded in the air, forming a sea of flames in an instant. These seas of fire continued to spread in all directions, and soon covered the entire planet, covering the entire planet in the sea of fire. The sea of fire spread rapidly to the surroundings, and cities were instantly engulfed by the sea of fire, and soon melted away. For ashes. Balancer, now that you have been engulfed in the sea of flames, I advise you to surrender obediently, otherwise you will definitely die in the sea of flames. Suyan saw that Balancer had been wrapped in a sea of flames, so he said with a smile, and then he controlled the super spaceship to continue flying forward. You don't want to lie to me, if I fall into the sea of fire, then I would rather be burned to death by the sea of fire than to be killed by you despicable villains. Balancer didn't believe Suyan's words. Then you just wait to die. After Suyan finished speaking, he manipulated the super spaceship to speed up the flight, and soon they passed through the sea of fire and continued to fly deep into the solar system. Soon the super spaceship that Balancer was on was destroyed by the fire. Damn it, how could I lose on a super spaceship? I'm not reconciled. Balancer kept cursing, but there was nothing he could do about it. Balancer, don't be reconciled to being useless, just stay in your super energy cannon obediently, and wait for death to come. Su Yan said with a sneer. Su Yan, one day, I will make your life worse than death. At that time, who will live and who will die, it will be hard to say. Balancer ignored Su Yan and put away the energy cannon. Balancer has lost the super energy cannon, so he can only rely on his own super power to fly. It is not impossible for him to fly over this continent, but it will take a lot of time to do so. In this way, he will waste a lot of super power points. In order to avenge his hatred, Balancer can't control so much. He can give up everything, including his life, which is meaningless to him. Su Yan's super spaceship continued to fly toward the depths of the solar system. During this time, Su Yan's super spaceship continuously released a large number of electromagnetic wave attacks to attack Electron Leinster's super spaceship. Although Su Yan's super spaceship has a strong defensive ability, but he is a super spaceship after all, and it is a damaged super spaceship, so the defense ability of Su Yan's super spaceship is still unable to resist Balancer's super spaceship attack. After a while, many cracks appeared on Su Yan's super spaceship. These cracks became more and more, and finally the energy compartment of the entire super spaceship became weaker and weaker. Balancer, you don't need to waste your efforts, my super spaceship is seriously damaged, even if you crack the energy core, so what, your energy core can't be restored, and my super spaceship will not be destroyed by you to destruction. Su Yan looked at Balancer's super spaceship and said with a sneer. The energy core of the super spaceship is not damaged. This is because there are a large number of crystals on the super spaceship, which can continuously provide energy to maintain the operation of the super spaceship. Su Yan also knows that the energy core inside the super spacecraft must be used to store energy, or to repair the super spacecraft. These super energy cores are not meant to be repaired. It cannot be used to repair the energy cannon, it must be used in other ways. For example, it is used to store some energy, and store the energy needed by some energy cannons. The super power storage of the super spaceship has been closed by Su Yan. Now these super energy cores stored inside the super spacecraft can only rely on themselves to store energy, and cannot use the outside world to store energy. As for Balancer, he couldn't control the storage of the energy core at all, so he didn't know whether what Su Yan said was true or false. Su Yan, I will not be fooled by you, even if I die in the sea of fire, my super spaceship can return to its original state. I will use the fastest speed to escape from the sea of fire, and then my spaceship will return to the universe. If you never want to see me again, I will use the most vicious means to punish you. Balancer said. Whatever you want, you have lost the super energy cannon now, and you don't even have a chance to escape. I don't dare to bet on how long you can live, so you should be honest. I don't want to waste any more time here with you. Play a game of hide and seek. Su Yan said with a cold snort. Even if my spaceship has no energy cannon, my combat effectiveness is still preserved, even if you have a super spaceship escort? I will catch up with you sooner or later. Balancer said with a cold snort. I'll let you try until the pain of being crushed, Balancer said with a cold snort. Su Yan flew in the solar system, and then launched a general attack. Started a crazy attack on Balancer's super spaceship. The ultra-high temperature released from Su Yan's super spaceship caused a lot of damage to the energy core of Balancer's super spaceship, which made Balancer's super spaceship run out of energy and eventually could no longer fly. At this time, Su Yan's super spacecraft stopped at an altitude of several hundred kilometers, and he was suspended in the sky like this. Su Yan controlled the super spaceship, and didn't intend to ink it anymore, and directly launched a cosmic-level attack on Balancer. Boom! Su Yan controls the energy cannon of the super spaceship, and shoots fiercely at Balancer below. This time, Su Yan launched the energy cannon with all his strength, and its power is quite huge, so Su Yan's super spaceship rushed into the atmosphere in an instant, and then flew into the sky at high altitude. It hit Balanster's super spaceship hard. What? Balanster's super spaceship was immediately attacked by Suyen. Under such an attack, the super spaceship immediately became shaky. Finally, after a violent impact, it fell directly from the sky, and then smashed to the ground. There was an explosion immediately, and Balanster's super spaceship was directly turned into a pile of scrap iron. After Balanster's super spaceship was destroyed, the energy core inside Balanster's super spaceship was also taken away by Suyen. Although the super spaceship is a huge monster, after the energy capsule is destroyed, the damage to the energy core is also great. After the super spaceship is destroyed, the Ninghuang core also dissipates. Qianzhao's second. When Suyen's super spaceship was destroyed, Suyen couldn't help taking a few breaths. Suyen controlled the super spaceship and slowly landed on the ground. Then, Suyen took out the energy core inside the super spaceship and observed it carefully. Energy cores are very precious. Generally speaking, energy cores are used to store energy and then release energy through energy cannons. Now the energy core was damaged by Suyen, which made the energy core unable to store energy. This makes Suyen a little depressed. If the energy core can still store energy, he can store the energy core in his super spaceship. It was damaged so easily, but this is also a normal thing, but since it has been damaged, it is useless, so let's throw it away first. Suyen looked at the wreckage of the super spaceship and said excitedly. Suyen put the wreckage into the super spaceship. The wreckage of the super spaceship is an energy device. Suyen put it into the super spaceship, and then began to study it. When studying the super spaceship, Suyen saw that there are some special things on the super spaceship. These things are exactly the same as super spacecraft. This special thing is called supermagnetic field, which can also be said to be super energy, but it is not super energy. The supermagnetic field is able to absorb the surrounding super energy, which can be absorbed by the computer inside the super spaceship. It is then stored in the energy cabin, but this absorption is very slow, so the defense of the super spaceship will become weaker and weaker. The super spaceship is not invincible, and it will be destroyed by the enemy when it encounters a powerful enemy. And the energy core of the super spacecraft is a key point of the supermagnetic field. If the supermagnetic field is damaged, the super spacecraft will be completely reimbursed. The energy core of this supermagnetic field should not be too bad. After all, a super spaceship is composed of energy. Although the energy is destroyed, as long as the energy source is still there, the super spaceship can continue to fight. But now the super spaceship's the energy has been destroyed, and the energy source has also lost its function, so if you want to destroy this supermagnetic field, it may not be so easy. Suyen carefully studied the energy of the supermagnetic field. This supermagnetic field is composed of super energy, and super energy is also energy. There is an obvious difference between the two kinds of energy. The supermagnetic field is like a piece of ordinary steel, the super energy is like a small planet, and the super emperor is liquid. Super energy is also liquid, so there is a huge difference between the two. I can absorb some energy now, but I can't convert this energy into energy. The energy of the supermagnetic field can only be absorbed, and the remaining energy cannot be stored in the energy tank, otherwise, the supermagnetic field will also explode. The supermagnetic field should not be too difficult to handle. If I can find the supermagnetic field and absorb all the super energy inside, then my super spaceship will definitely be more powerful. Suyen thought for a while, and suddenly his eyes lit up. At that time, I can use the super energy to drive the super spaceship to fight. This idea seems very good. Suyen thought he could give it a try. Therefore, Suyen began to try to fuse the supermagnetic field into the super spacecraft. The energy of the supermagnetic field is a very powerful energy, and Suyen could not absorb and fuse the supermagnetic field at all. Therefore, Suyen can only temporarily seal the supermagnetic field into the core of the super spaceship. After Suyen sealed the supermagnetic field into the core of the super spaceship, He injected the energy of the super spaceship into the inner space of the super spaceship. Make the internal space of the super spacecraft larger, so that the super spacecraft can store more energy and protect the safety of the spacecraft. This is Suji's plan. The energy of the super spaceship is stored in the core space, so the super spaceship will not be easily attacked by any outside world, unless all the energy of the super spaceship is drained. Otherwise, Su Yan can guarantee the super spaceship forever. The spaceship will not be attacked. After Su Yan thought about it, he began to try to use the energy stored in the super spaceship to fill up the interior of the super spaceship. In this way, the energy in the super spaceship can be continuously delivered to Su Yan's super spaceship. Su Yan thought of this, and then began to manipulate the super spaceship. With Su Yan's control, the energy of the super spaceship continuously poured into the inner space of the super spaceship from the limbs and bones of the spaceship. These energies are like running water, flowing continuously. While injecting the energy in the super spaceship, Su Yan controls the energy, DAG, to expand to the inside. The energy inside the super spaceship is about tens of millions of kilograms, but the space inside the super spaceship is very vast. The energy of Su Yan's super spaceship has been expanding inside. An hour later, Su Yan absorbed all the energy in the super spaceship. These energies are all stored in the inner space of the super spaceship. After Su Yan filled the space inside the super spaceship, he stopped sending energy, and then Su Yan began to think about how to increase the power of the super spaceship. The main material of the super spaceship is metal formed by condensing super energy, and now I can inject all the super energy into the super spaceship. So can the main material of the super spaceship withstand the impact of so much super energy? Su Yan thought about it, and then tried it again, and found that his idea was correct. The main material of the super spaceship is a part of the super energy. It can also be said that super energy is the main body of this universe, that is, the entire universe is the cornerstone of super energy, so the main material of a super spaceship can carry a lot of energy. After Su Yan stored the energy in the super spaceship, energy can be released without restriction. Sure enough, it is so easy to store energy in a super spaceship. Su Yan sighed, and at the same time was a little excited. The super energy is so powerful, this is simply a means against the sky. If it is the energy in the super magnetic field, I think it should be able to withstand more energy. The energy is stored in the super spacecraft, and it is impossible to perfectly control this super energy. Su Yan thought about it, and tried a few more times, but the results were all ineffective. The super energy could not be used perfectly, which made Su Yan a little helpless. The inner space of the super spacecraft is actually equivalent to a super universe, and all the energy in the super universe is stored in the inner space of the super spacecraft by Su Shi. It seems that I have to think of a way to use the super energy perfectly. The energy of the super spacecraft is stored in the super spacecraft, just like a storage device. But it is not a storage, the storage is a container, and the super energy is a universe. What if the super energy is stored on the outer shell of the super spacecraft? It's a pretty crazy idea, but it's the fastest way. Thank you for watching Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share and subscribe. Have a great day.